Good evening. This is the cricket debate at the end of a day when England have once again failed with the bat. Another bleak and sorry tale we have to talk about tonight. England bowled out cheaply once again at Trent Bridge to concede a first innings lead of 168. And by the close, India, 124 for 2, could stretch that to 292. But that's really not the worst of it. There are any number of grim statistics floating around, but try these two for size. They lost all 10 wickets in a session for the third time in 2 years, and all 10 wickets went inside 27 overs. The whole innings only lasted just over 38, as the late, great Fred Trubin would have said, "What is going off out there?" Well, with me to explain all are Willis and Rainford-Brent. And first, I suspect he might be a little unhappy. Bob.
It was lamentable, Charles, wasn't it? It was an action replay of Auckland in the first test in New Zealand when England were rolled over 58. Gently swinging ball, out swingers, in swingers, throw your hands hard at it with very hard hands, and it gives slip catching practice. Absolutely pathetic.
Ebony.
It's frustrating, isn't it? I think the thing that annoys me the most is I just feel like England half the time are 100 for 4. I think the stats even back that up. Always 4 wickets down. But the thing that I think is most intriguing is they still go at a good rate. Even today, it was 4 runs and over, which kind of to me suggests there's none of this sort of approaching like how we've seen Virat Kohli and kind of understand you sometimes got to play ugly cricket, but just hang around. And it's, you know, you go back to Edgbaston not too long ago. It was Sam Curran, the young player, coming in with a brilliant 63 that really saved England. So, look, this has been a consistent challenge, but today you just thought, can anyone please just hang around? Same old thing.
How is it that the cream of England's cricketers, because that's presumably what they are our Test match 11, are getting bowled out in 27 overs?
Well, they're not very good, are they? That's the top and bottom of it. It's only Cook and Root that average over 40. We keep singing the praises of Johnny Bairstow as the batsman. He's probably the third best player. But the others are simply overrated. Jennings has got to go. He's not an England opening batsman in Test match cricket. Pope's too high up the order at number 4. Should have been bedded in at number 6. Looked very good at Lord's. A little bit loose today, I thought. And once again, you know, as so often happens, Josh Buttler left with the tail. He did a pretty good job, but actually firing England, another 30-odd runs. I
disagree that we're not very good, I have to say. I think we're a bit better than that. I think the
evidence doesn't seem to suggest that.
The issue is, I think it's more of a mindset thing. Because look what happened when we take it to the one-day game when Trevor Bayliss came in. He got the mindset right on how to approach one-day cricket, and over a sort of 18-month period we saw that side transform. I don't think the mindset's right. You know, how many opening partners has Alistair Cook gone through? They're not all poor cricketers. I just think the mindset and the approach hasn't been adjusted. So I do think we've got some quality cricket. Bairstow, as an example, to me is a fantastic cricketer, but has he at the moment got the ability mindset to dig in? So we've got quality players. I just think we've got to switch on like Kohli did and find that hunger to hang around.
So it's the coach's fault because he's not getting them to concentrate
I do think there's a challenge there. I still think, you know, especially with the amount of cricket that's been played, that at some stage we've got to split our kind of one-day white ball stuff and our Test cricket and get somebody who's specialist who's going to really drive that, because we've had a problem now for a long time for Test cricket. We keep saying this is rinse and repeat. How long have we said that England are 100 for 4 or bowled out within you know, it's not good enough. And for me, I think it's around the environment and the mindset, and I think that's where it's got to change.
The problem is, though, I mean, you might change the coach and get a red ball coach and is against a white ball coach, but it's the same players, and it's the players who play the shots, not the coaches.
Yeah, but they've got a specialist batting coach, haven't they? Mark Grant-Prakash is around that side all the time. I don't think players, once they get picked for England, need all this coaching either. Certainly not during matches. Preparation days, yes, but far too many bodies around the dressing room during the match.
But is that why we are losing? We've 3 times in the last 2 years been bowled out in a session because there are too many coaches.
Well, no, they're not good enough players. You know, there's an occasional, you know, silver lining on a flat pitch. Alistair Cook got a double 100, flat pitch in Cape Town. Ben Stokes got 250. as soon as the ball does anything, England can't play.
England, Ebony, have scored 400 plus in their first innings. All right, this is the first innings, the first time they've batted. It might have been batting first or batting second in the match. Only twice in the last 12 Test matches, and in the last 33 Test matches, which were from the start of the summer of 2016, they've only gone past 450 6 times. That's just not good enough.
It isn't good enough, but I keep going back to that run rate of today. The fact that we still got bowled out for 160 and went at 4 runs and over, I think our guys are going too hard at it. As simple as that.
But that's the way they play.
Yeah, it works in one-day cricket. It's great for one-day cricket. And admittedly, look, the whole game across all the nations is going to change. You know, I think just for the fact that all the games are finishing 4 days, we know you've got to play at a quicker rate. But where's the ugly cricket? I think that's the thing for me. Where is the innings where maybe you wear a couple, you get behind it, you adjust your technique? Virat Kohli, for me, really summed that up. He came out to this Test series under a lot of pressure, maybe prior not the technique to adapt. And he's found a way, and I think that's all we need from the players. I think they're good enough. I do disagree. I do think they're good enough. But it's about finding a way and adjusting and not going up 4 runs and over, but being bowled out for 160. It's digging and maybe going at 2.5 and 3s, but maybe putting 300 on the board or 350 at some stage.
But Ebony, you keep saying they're good enough, but at the end, batsmen have to score runs. And, you know, the benchmark average for a good Test match player is 40. And as I've already said, only Cook and Root average over 40.
Bairstow must be pushing close to that.
Well, he's under 40, I can tell you that.
Fair enough.
But, you want players who average 50 plus, and only Root does that.
I was going to say that there will be some people, and I suspect some of them will be in the England dressing room, who may be watching right now, or they may not, but they'll be saying, listen, this is all complete, typical media knee-jerk reaction. We were very good at Lords and you praised us to the hilt. We scrapped and won a game at Birmingham. We might well scrap and get out of this one, and you're just going completely over the top.
Well, I'm not, because the batting wasn't very good at Lords, the batting wasn't very good at Edgbaston. Ebony's already said that it was Sam Curran that got England out of the mire at Edgbaston. It was Chris Wokes and Johnny Bairstow that got them out of the mire in the last Test match. They're always 80 for 4, 100 for 5, 120 for 6, and then we start thinking about the job in hand.
Ebony, if Bob's right, and you're right as well because you think they're decent players, how are we going to stop being 80 for 4?
I don't know. I don't know whether it's preparation. I don't know whether it's... I don't know what they need.
Or is it just, as I say, the old line, that's the way we play in the modern game? You don't understand. Bob and I don't understand because we're just old fogies. And
Test cricket's not going anywhere. We've got a Test Championship coming around the corner. You know, we're going to have to learn how to adjust. You know, this is not going to do us any good in a ranking if you only win away Test, and then even at home you're finding yourself getting bowled out. So, you know, these players have got to adjust, and I think it's more about hunger, it's about mindset, and I know I keep going to that, but I do believe Johnny Bairstow, for me, has been one of my favourite England cricketers over the last few years. I think he's adjusted his technique, he's got a good mindset, but it's about these moments when the pressure's on, and that's what, you know, it's when the crunch moments come is when our batting's failing. Like you say, it's all right on a flat track when no conditions, but it's the mindset under pressure, and I think that can be worked on. I think that can be developed. I think they're good enough.
The basic problem technically is an inability to play the swinging ball in this particular Test match. We climbed into India for not being able to play the swinging ball at Lords when Anderson and Broad were absolutely devastating. Well, we can't not climb into England because they made all the mistakes that India were making at Lords, and they, after all, England, are brought up on it. Yeah,
most of those dismissals today could have been left alone. Certainly the openers could have both left their dismissals alone. They are going hard at the ball when it's moving. You can't afford to do that. You've got to play it much later with soft hands. This is all basic elementary stuff. We'd have thought after Auckland we might have learned the lesson. You know, they're not being blasted out by electrifying pace, are they? It's, you know, medium pace, gentle outswing and inswing, you know, a little dobber like Pandya getting 5 wickets. Absolutely ridiculous.
Hold Pandya for the moment, Bob. We will come to him. I just want Ebony's reaction to that.
Yeah, well, first of all, I think, that, Cook has a little bit of a problem with the ball coming into him at the moment. We saw it with Ashwin bowling. We saw it again today. I think he's been worked out a little bit, and he's not able to adjust his game. And
Ishant Sharma has knocked him over, I think it's 10 times now.
Yeah.
And extraordinarily, Virat Kohli didn't open with... I mean, frankly... Kohli not opening with Ishant when Alistair Cook's at the other end is like Michael Atherton going out to bat and Mark Taylor saying, don't worry about Glenn McGrath, we'll give you somebody else. All right, now you can have Glenn McGrath because you got to 30.
To be honest, there were a few questionable things from Virat Kohli, to be fair, today. At the back end when Buttler was batting, some of the captaincy and the movement, they weren't being threatening and ruthless. I think Kohli's still got a bit of work to do in that sense. But from the England batter's perspective as well, I do think Pope, I think he showed a lot of courage in Lords. I think there were some signs. But for me, he needs to be at number 6. Just give him a little bit of time, because when you've got this...
Who's batting at 4 then?
Move him, that maybe Bairstow comes down a bit,
hero.
give the gloves elsewhere. I say Bairstow comes down. To me, he's the next best batter behind Root and Cook.
Right, I asked you to hold the thought of Hardik Pandya for a moment. His figures today were 6 overs, 1 maidens, 5 for 28. And this was a man who, one of our number, Ebony, not so long ago, said you could forget him, he's useless.
Well, I mean, he bowled very well today because he pitched the ball up and the ball swung. But that shouldn't get you a 5-wicket haul against an international batting lineup. Yeah, I don't mind eating my words about Pandya as an all-rounder, but he was gifted most of those wickets.
I thought India bowled a lot fuller than England did yesterday. We touched on it yesterday, didn't we? We said that England were a bit disappointing that they didn't reproduce their Lord's lengths and they went backwards a bit.
That's right. They need Sam Curran there to show them how to pitch it right up, because when they did pitch it up, they had far more success. It's a simple formula, but unfortunately, you know, the 2 old-timers, Anderson and Broad, reverted to type and pitched probably, you know, 10 or 18 inches too short.
Is it fair to get stuck into Broad and Anderson and England's bowlers in the latter half of the day? Because what are India at the close? They're 124 for 2, and they weren't really made to struggle very much when England had been shot out between lunch and tea.
Well, yeah, I mean, they didn't get any rest period, did they? And both, well, not so much Broad, but Anderson's been bowling long spells in this Test series, and we keep saying, you know, there are 5 Test matches in just over 6 weeks. Jimmy deserved a rest, but with this batting lineup, he's not going to get one, is he?
Did you feel that India out-bowled England today?
Massively.
I mean, obviously, India have out-batted England.
I think they massively did. One, we talked about length and getting fuller, but I keep coming back to this thing about hunger sometimes. Virat Kohli showed it with a bat, and I think Hardik Pandya has had a lot of people saying, what is he doing? Does he belong as part of this Test setup? Is he good enough? And I think, you know, sometimes when the conditions change and it comes in your favour, if you've got a little bit of an edge on you saying, look, I've got to prove people wrong. He got it, he pitched it up, good pace as well, mid-80s, a little bit more. And I just think he wanted it more today. He was fired up and fair play. Let's not forget as well, the keeper on debut held a lot of catches. So India as a whole today, they were switched on and they were ready and they were hungry.
I just wonder whether Pandya had watched the odd cricket debate and had been motivated by somebody.
I think Bob revved him right up. He's got your number. Watch out on social media.
Thankfully, I don't think you do social media, do you, Bob?
What's that?
Exactly. Right, we'll take a very quick break now. When we come back, we will try and come up with a solution to England's batting woes. Maybe they should just go 1 day from the off. We'll talk about that later. Well, England's day may have ended with a bit of a high with Adil Rashid getting that wicket and Stokes picking up one as well. But you can't actually disguise the fact that that's been a shocking day for England at Trent Bridge. Day 2 stumped. India 124 for 2 in their second innings, leading by 292. And it will take something extraordinary for England to get back into this Test match. But extraordinary things do happen, so we'll just have to wait and see. There was one little moment that came sort of midway through the day, and that was when Joe Root was given out caught at slip. It caused a bit of controversy. Bob, what were your views on it?
Clean catch. Root should have departed the scene straight away. I don't know what he was shaking his head about. We've seen these catches over the last 10 years, and happily now the third umpire is, prepared to give the batsman out. There was a period a while ago where every time it was referred to the third umpire, he was given knocked out because of the foreshortening of the shot from the camera and the ball appearing to hit the ground when in fact it bounced into the fielder's fingers.
That change has happened probably because the umpires on the field give a soft signal. They reckon it's out, but could you please confirm it? So the third umpire has to find something absolutely staggering to overturn the on-field decision. Is that a good method of carrying on?
Very much so, yes. I guess the guy with the best view was Gaffney at square leg.
Well, Joe Root probably had the best view, didn't he?
Well, probably the fielder had the best view because he knew he'd caught the ball. But the square leg umpire intimated to Erasmus that the ball had carried, and they checked it out, and sure enough, he had caught the ball cleanly. For
me, it's definitely a catch. I agree with you all. I think even looking back on it, simple, the ball bobbled up. I think the thing that frustrates me most is today's play finished at nearly 7 o'clock because they're not getting through the overs. And all these rocking and rollings and, can you go back and look at that from 10 different angles when pretty much all of us, apart from anyone who was maybe an England supporter, said it was out. I felt like we're just taking time out of the game. And, I sound a bit like I'm banging a drum and maybe sound a little bit more in your camp here, Bob. But I do think, I'm sure it's a good camp, but I do think that we're kind of just taking so much time out of the game with decisions which are pretty straightforward.
Overrates. We have talked about those before. The only bright spot for England today came right at the end when Buttler was in with Anderson, and he basically could just switch into what the heck mode and just go basically as he does in a 2020 game. Do you think that's the best way for him to play, funnily enough? Should he, every time he comes out to bat, just go straight to that mode?
Well, it's not going to come off that often. We've seen... even before T20 was invented, we saw players going in at the top of the order as so-called pinch hitters, and you're expecting to come off 1 in 8 or 1 in 10 times if they went in and gave it the windmill straight away. Even with his fantastic eye and ability and innovation, I don't think that Jos Buttler would have ongoing success at Test cricket batting in that mode.
What about England deciding, well, we've got Alistair Cook and Keaton Jennings who are trying to play it conventionally and sort of grind it out. Would we be better off with a Jason Roy? Our one-day batting, as you said right at the start of the show, our one-day batting is fantastic. It's electrifying. They go out there and they take the battle to the enemy. They can't do any worse than what we're doing at the moment, can they?
Yeah, I understand your point in terms of taking that one-day mindset and trying to apply it to the Test cricket. I just think sustainably over a long period. What I think we could do is maybe have two. So you might have your Buttler, whose job at the back end, maybe a Gilchrist kind of role of being aggressive. And I think there's space for a David Warner-style batter who could be successful at the top. But I just don't think across a sustainable period we could go at that. I mean, we're going at good rates anyway. The rate's not the problem, unfortunately, for us. It's just hanging around long enough.
Well, we'd like to bat 50 overs, wouldn't we? We didn't do that today.
No, we didn't. The recently departed Jonathan Trott and Ian Bell, they didn't have to bat in that mode to be a success at Test match cricket. OK, they both had lean times occasionally, but you'd look at them both as proper Test match batting. They didn't have the talent, say, of a Kevin Peterson, but they knew how to build an innings, usually how to leave the ball alone when they needn't play it, and then accelerate the innings. And you felt comfortable that they were going to bat some significant amount of time.
Well, so I suppose the question is, are there people in the county game who can do that, or are we, I'll use the word stuck, but I don't mean that in a nasty way. Is this the best 11 or best 12 or 13, and they've just got to knuckle down.
Yeah, I think, look, we keep going back to this, don't we? We've had how many opening partners has Cook had, and we then look to the next best, the next best. This is why I keep saying it's got to be about mindset and culture, and I do think we need a specialist test coach that we can pick out and change that environment. Maybe the next best off the rank, who a lot of people are talking about, is Rory Burns. He's consistently performed in Championship cricket for 4 years. The danger is we keep rotating these players and there's no success, and I think that there's enough talent and quality in there. It's about application and mindset. OK,
let's talk about something else. Let's talk something good news for England. Mitchell Johnson has finally retired. The man who blew England away in the 13-14 Ashes, 37 wickets at 13. It was formidable stuff. He took overall 313 Test wickets, 239 ODI wickets, 123. Thankfully, his body is broken. He will be tormenting England no more. He is the last of the great fast bowlers, isn't he?
He certainly bowled fast during that series. If you remember, the Barmy Army ridiculed him on the previous tour, but they had to eat their words, much as I've had to tonight about one of India's all-rounders. But he was devastating in that series, and the art of quick bowling seems to have fast disappearing. Dale Stein's a shadow of his former self. There's no batsman really going out now sort of in fear of their safety when they go out to the middle.
That series, that Ashes, as I'm thinking back, that's the last time that a fast bowler, sort of, you know, a Tyson, a Larwood, a Mitchell Johnson, really put the wind up somebody in a Test series. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. And I think what was great about it is I think the moustache must have helped him, because between that previous series to that one, once this started coming through, all of a sudden his real meanness was in there. But I think you're right in terms of there isn't anybody you kind of fear. Dale Steyn has gone through injury problems. I know he's over here playing at the moment. He's got some pace, but again, have you got that venom? Have you got that fear? The pitches are getting better as well, so you maybe not...
Well, they're getting slower,
and you've got time to adjust. I just don't see there being that fast bowler for a little while. Yes, there's quick bowlers on the circuit, but they're not threatening, they're not consistent, they're not at you. And I think it's also the brain that goes with that quick bowling. That's what he did in that series, is he really pieced together how he was going to get out batters and really put them under pump. But I think the one thing I have to say about Mitchell Johnson is that comeback. I think that's what's made his journey even more, you know, enjoyable to watch, is the fact that, you know, he went to the lowest of the low and fought back. And I think he will always be remembered for that and coming back with a real purpose. And I love to watch it.
It was an incredible story, because I remember doing an interview with him about him for that Fast Men series we did, and he talked about how, in order to come back, he had to get used to running in with the ball in his hand and not worrying about it. So he went for runs round Perth late at night when it was dark, because everybody saw this fast bowler running around the parks at Perth with a cricket ball in his hand, and he had been ridiculed. So he used to do it at night, and that was the start of the comeback.
Yeah, and you mentioned Perth, and the great fast bowling guru Dennis Lillee helped him out, teaching him about rhythm in his approach. He was all over the shop the previous series, but he got his rhythm together. He was absolutely, balanced when he hit that bowling crease and terrorised not only England, but other sides as well.
Right, OK, well, we wish Mitchell a happy retirement. England tomorrow, how are they going to get out of this?
Well, with great difficulty. They need to bowl better. A night's rest will hopefully have rejuvenated Broad and Anderson. Pitch the ball further up. They hope that it'll swing in the conditions again. But, they've got to get Virat Kohli out. Pujara will probably just bat at his pace. And hold
a couple of catches, possibly.
Yeah.
We didn't have time to talk about catches,
but
did
hold
we?
a few catches
that would
help.
be nice. OK, well, we just wait and see how it goes. Ebony, thanks for coming in, and nice to see you again. Bob, see you again tomorrow. So we are very nearly done here. Just